Hola clase, bienvenidos. Hoy vamos a hablar sobre los verbos recíprocos en español. Okay, so today's topic is reciprocal verbs in Spanish. Reciprocal verbs are used to express the idea of doing something to or for each other. Okay, so for example, to write each other, to see each other, to hug each other. Okay, those are all good examples of reciprocal verbs. To make a verb reciprocal, all you need to do is add se to the infinitive. Okay, so for example, here we have besar. Besar in the infinitive form means to kiss. To say to kiss each other, you have besarse. Okay, so just like our note says here, it's an easy way to say each other. You just add a se on the infinitive, and you'll notice that it looks just like a reflexive verb. Okay, when it comes time to conjugate them, you will notice it also follows that same pattern, where you get the se out of the way, change the verb, and then the se will come me, te, se, nos, os, or se. Okay? Contar. Contar means to tell, but contarse is to tell each other. Okay? So, let's talk about what happens when we go to conjugate these reciprocal verbs. When I say here, we write each other. Okay, remember the verb to write is escribir. So the infinitive to write each other would be escribirse. So if you try to conjugate that here in the present tense, you would get nosotros nos escribimos. Okay, so all I did there was make the verb end in se, and then I conjugated it appropriately. Let's look at another example. They see each other every day. Okay, so the verb to see is ver, and to say to see each other, we have verse. To conjugate that, you get ellos se ven todos los días. One more example. They used to hug each other. Okay, the verb to hug is abrazar. The infinitive to hug each other would be abrazarse. When I conjugate that and put this in the sentence, which you'll notice that is an imperfect sentence down there, you would get ellos se abrazaban mucho. You'll notice in each of these examples, in order to say each other, all I did was add a se to the infinitive form of the verb, and then I conjugated it appropriately. Okay? The first two examples, I conjugated it in the present tense. And the third example, I used the imperfect tense. Okay? So just like reflexive verbs, it doesn't matter what tense it is, you still have to get the se out of the way and move it to the front and then conjugate your verb appropriately. Okay? In comparison with reflexive verbs, it is important to note that in Spanish, the plural forms only, okay, and by plural forms I mean nosotros, vosotros, and ellos. Okay, so the plural forms only of reflexive verbs are used to express this idea, since it takes more than one person to do something to or for each other. Okay, so basically what I'm saying there is you can't have I see each other. That doesn't make any sense, okay? Or he sees each other. No, okay? You're going to use reciprocal, okay, the reciprocal say in the they box and in the we box, okay, since we're not using vosotros this year. All right. Let's see if we understood our short lesson here. Our directions tell us to please use the imperfect tense to conjugate these reciprocal verbs. Okay? Again, you'll notice if you look at all 6 of these, they look just like reflexive verbs. And for the most part, they are. You conjugate them the same way. If you want to sing your little song, you first have to get say out of the way. Then the verb you'll have to change, and the say you'll rearrange. Okay, so the say will come to the front. and then you'll conjugate appropriately. Okay, your only difference is, notice, like I told you on the last screen, you're only going to use these with plural subjects. Okay, so subjects that would belong in the they box or the we box. All right, let's do number 1 together. Number 1 says, the students used to help each other with the homework. Do notice I'm requesting you to use the imperfect tense here. That's the tense you just watched a video on in this unit. Remember, it is the habas and the ias. Okay, so the students used to help each other with the homework. Get the say out of the way. Move it to the front. It's got to match students, so you're going to leave it as say. And then ayudar, and the imperfect would be ayudaban. Okay, so the answer for number 1, say ayudaban. Okay, please pause me and do numbers 2 through 6. Okay, repasemos. Number 2, my parents used to tell each other jokes. Say contaban. Number 3, my siblings used to fight with each other a lot. Say peleaban. Number 4, we used to talk to each other every day. Nos hablábamos. Number 5, you and I used to send text messages to each other. So anytime you have a subject that's someone's name and I, that's the we form. So we used to send each other would be nos mandábamos. And number 6, your one irregular imperfect verb here, ver. The friends used to see each other every weekend. Los amigos se veían. Okay, if you have any questions about today's material, please jot that down on your note guide and we will address that next class. Okay, muchas gracias. Adiós.